world. Thanks for joining us from Florida and Italy and wherever else you happen to be at this time. We're glad to have you. For those of you who are new to this is something that we've been doing every week. It's an opportunity to explore the works of Shakespeare in a fun way. There's no rules, there's no restrictions. Sometimes people come in costume, people put in some zany backgrounds. Sometimes people just like to have fun. I hope that you enjoy watching this. We have lots of fun reading this. If you're curious about what we're doing and you want to learn some more, you can always join us and follow us on Facebook at Eventide Theatre Company. We have a lot of new and exciting things coming up, including some master classes which we're planning, as well as some additional online play readings, which are actually directed works. We've got a few more in the works that we're exploring. And as this becomes our new normal, we plan on continuing to do this as we go forward for as long as you folks will tune in and join us. So that said, today we are going to be reading Henry V, and we hope that you just sit back, relax, and enjoy what we do. You guys all ready? I'll take that as a yes. All right.
Yep.
Good here.
All right. So let me just move my script over because I jumped on that. We would never insult you folks at home with a rehearsed production. All right. Henry V, prologue. Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars, and at his heels, leashed in like hounds, should famine, sword and fire crouch for employment. But pardon, gentles all, that the flat, unraised spirits that have dared on this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object. Can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France? Or may we cram within this wooden the very casks that did affright the heir of Agincourt? Oh, pardon, since a crooked figure may attest in little place a million, and let us, ciphers of this great accompt, on your imaginary forces work. Suppose within the girdle of these walls are now confined two mighty monarchies, whose high upreared and abutting fronts the perilous narrow ocean parts asunder. Piece out imperfections with your thoughts. Into 1,000 parts divide one man, and make imaginary puissance. Think, when we talk of forces, that you see them, printing their proud hooves of the receiving earth. For 'tis your thoughts that now must deck our kings. Carry them here and there, jumping o'er times, turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass, for which supply admit me, chorus to this history, who prologue like your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play. Act 1, Scene 1. London, an antechamber in the King's Palace. Enter the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Bishop of Ell.
My lord, I'll tell you that self-bill is urged, which in the 11th year of the last king's reign was like and had indeed against us passed, but that the scambling and unquiet time did push it out of further question.
But how, my lord, shall we resist it now?
It must be thought on. If it pass against us, we lose the better half of our possession. For all the temporal lands which men devout by testament have given to the church, would they strip from us, being valued thus, as much as would maintain to the king's honor full 15 earls and 1,500 knights, 6,200 good esquires, and to relief of lazars and weak age, of indigent faint souls past corporal toil, 100 almshouses right well supplied, and to the coffers of the king beside, 1,000 pounds by the year. Thus runs the bill.
This would drink deep.
'Twould drink the cup and all.
But what prevention?
The king is full of grace and fair regard,
And a true lover of the Holy Church.
the courses of his youth promised it not. The breath no sooner left his father's body, but that in his wildness, mortified in him, seemed to die too. Yea, and at that very moment, consideration like an angel came, and whipped the offending Adam out of him, leaving his body as a paradise to envelop and contain celestial spirits. Never was such a sudden scholar made, never came reformation in a flood with such a heady currents of scouring faults, nor never hydra-headed willfulness so soon did lose his seat, and all at once, as in this king.
We are blessed in the change.
Hear him, but reason in divinity, and all admiring, with an inward wish, you would desire the king were made a prelate. Hear him debate of commonwealth affairs. You would say it hath been all in his study. List his discourse of war, and you shall hear a fearful battle rendered you in music. Turn him to any cause of policy, that Georgia not of it he will unloose, familiar as his garter, that when he speaks, the air, a chartered libertine, is still, and the mute wonder lurketh in men's ears to steal his sweet and honeyed sentences, so that the art and practic part of life must be the mistress to this theoric, which is wonder how his grace should glean it, since his addiction was to courses vain, his company unlettered, rude, and shallow, his hours filled up with riots, banquets, sports, and never noted in him any study, any retirement, any sequestration from open haunts and popularity.
The strawberry grows underneath the nettle, and wholesome berries thrive and ripen best, neighbored by fruit of baser quality. And so the prince obscures his contemplation under the veil of wildness, which no doubt grew like the summer grass, fastest by night, unseen, yet crasive in his faculty.
It must be so. For miracles are ceased, and therefore we must needs admit the means how things are perfected.
But, my good lord, how now for mitigation of this bill urged by the commons? Doth his majesty incline to it or no?
He seems indifferent, or rather swaying more upon our part than cherishing the exhibitors against us. For I have made an offer to his majesty upon our spiritual convocation, and in regard of causes now in hand, which I have opened to his grace at large, as touching France, to give a greater sum than ever at one time the clergy yet did to his predecessors part withal.
How did this offer seem received, my lord?
With good acceptance of his majesty, save that there was not time enough to hear, as I perceived his grace would fain have done, the severals and unhidden passages of his true titles to some certain dukedoms, and generally to the crown and seat of France, derived from Edward, his great-grandfather.
What was the implement that broke it off?
The French ambassador upon that instant craved audience, and the hour, I think, is come to give him hearing. Is it 4 o'clock?
It is.
Then go we in to know his embassy, which I could with a ready guess declare before the Frenchmen speak a word of it.
I'll wait upon you, and I long to hear it.
Exit all. Act 1, Scene 2, the same, the presence chamber.
Where is my
Enter
gracious...
King Henry V, Gloucester, Bedford, and Exeter, Warwick, Westmoreland, and attendants.
Where is my gracious Lord of Canterbury?
Not here in presence.
Send for him, good uncle.
Shall we call in the ambassador, my liege?
Not yet, my cousin. We would be resolved before we hear him of some things of weight that task our thoughts concerning us in France.
Enter the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Bishop of Ely.
God and his angels guard your sacred throne and make you long become it.
Sure. We thank you. My learned Lord, we pray you to proceed and justify and justly and religiously unfold why the law salique that they have in France or should not bar us our claim. And God forbid, my dear and faithful Lord, that you should fashion, rest, or bow your reading, or nicely charge your understanding soul with opening titles miscreate, whose right suits not native colors with truth. For God doth know how many now in health shall drop their blood in approbation of what your reverence shall incite us to. Therefore, take heed how you impawn our person, how you awake our sleeping sword of war. We charge you in the name of God, take heed. For never two such kingdoms did contend without much fall of blood, whose guiltless drops are every one a woe, a sore complaint against him whose wrong gives edge unto the swords that make such waste in brief mortality. Under this conjuration, speak, my lord, for we will hear, note, and believe in heart that what you speak is in your conscience washed, as pure as sin with baptism.
Then hear me, gracious sovereign, and you peers that owe yourselves your lives and services to this imperial throne. There is no bar to make against your highness' claim to France, but this which they produce from Pharamond. In terram salicam muleris ne succendant. No woman shall succeed in Salic land, which Salic land the French unjustly glows to be the realm of France, and Pharamond, the founder of this law and female bar. Yet their own authors faithfully affirm that the land Salic is in Germany, between the floods of Saale and of Elbe, where Charles the Great, having subdued the Saxons, there left behind and settled certain French, who, holding in disdain the German women for some dishonest manners of their life, established then this law, to wit, no female shall inherit in Salic land, which Salic, as I said, twixt Elbe and Saale, is at this day in Germany called Misen. Then doth it well appear the Salic law was not devised for the realm of France, nor did the French possess the Salic land until 421 years after defunction of King Pharamond, idly supposed the founder of this law, who died within the year of our redemption 426, and Charles the Great subdued the Saxons, and did seat the French beyond the river Saale in the year 805. Besides, their writers say, King Pepin, which deposed Childeric, did as heir general, being descended of Blitheld, which was daughter to King Clothaire, make claim and title to the crown of France. Hugh Capet also, who usurped the crown of Charles the Duke of Lorraine, sole heir male of the true line and stock of Charles the Great, to find his title with some shows of truth, though in pure truth it was corrupt, and not conveyed himself as heir to the Lady Lingard, daughter to Charlemagne, who was the son to Louis the Emperor and Louis the son of Charles the Great, also King Louis the Ninth, who was sole heir to the usurper Capet, could not keep quiet in his conscience, wearing the crown of France, till satisfied that fair Queen Isabel, his grandmother, was lineal of the Lady Ermengarde, daughter to Charles the foresaid Duke of Lorraine, by which the marriage of the line of Charles the Great was reunited to the crown of France, so that, as clear as is the summer's sun, King Pepin's title and Hugh Capet's claim, King Louis, his satisfaction, all appear to hold him in right and title of the female. So do the kings of France unto this day. Howbeit they would hold up this Salic law to bar your highness claiming from the female, and rather choose to hide them in a net than amply to embar their crooked titles usurped from you and your progenitors.
May I, with right and conscience, make this claim?
The sin upon my head, dread sovereign, for in the book of Numbers is it writ, when the man dies, let the inheritance descend unto the daughter. Gracious Lord, stand for your own. Unwind your bloody flag. Look back into your mighty ancestors. Go, my dread lord, to your great-grandsire's tomb, from whom you claim, invoke his warlike spirit, and your great uncle's, Edward, the Black Prince, who on the French ground played a tragedy, making defeat on the full power of France, whilst his most mighty father on a hill stood smiling to behold his lion's whelp forage in blood of French nobility. Oh, noble English, that could entertain with half their forces the full pride of France, and let another half stand laughing by, all out of work and cold for action.
Toby, you're muted.
Awaken remembrance of these valiant deeds, and your puissant arms renew their feats. You are their heir, you sit upon their throne, and blood and courage that renowned them run in your veins. In my thrice puissant liege is in the very May morn of his youth, ripe for exploits and mighty enterprises.
Your brother kings and monarchs of the earth do all expect that you should rouse yourself as did the former lions of your blood.
They know, your grace, hath cause and means and might, so hath your highness. Never king of England had nobles richer and more loyal subjects, whose hearts have left their bodies here in England and lie pavilioned in the fields of France.
Oh, let their bodies follow, my dear liege, with blood and sword and fire to win your right, in aid whereof we of the spirituality will raise your highness such a mighty sum as never did the clergy at one time bring in to any of your ancestors.
We must not only arm to invade the French, but lay down our proportions to defend against the Scots, who will make road upon us with all advantages.
They of those marches, gracious sovereign, shall be a wall sufficient to defend our inland from the pilfering borderers.
We do not mean the coursing snatchers only, but fear the main intendment of the Scot, who hath been still a giddy neighbor to us. For you shall read that my great-grandfather never went with his forces into France, but that the Scot on his unfurnished kingdom came pouring like the tide into a breach, with ample and brimfulness of his force, galling the gleaned land with hot assays, girding with grievous siege castle and towns, that England, being empty of defence, hath shook and trembled at the ill neighborhood.
She hath been then more feared than harmed, my liege. For hear her but exampled by herself. When all her chivalry hath been in France, and she a mourning widow of her nobles, she hath herself not only well defended, but taken and impounded as a stray the King of Scots, whom she did send to France to fill King Edward's fame with prisoners, kings, and make her chronicle as rich with praise as is the ooze and bottom of the sea, with sunken rack and sumless treasuries.
But there's a saying very old and true. If that you will France win, then with Scotland first begin. For once the eagle England being in prey to her unguarded nest, the weasel Scot comes sneaking and so sucks her princely eggs, playing the mouse in absence of the cat to tear and havoc more than she can eat.
It follows then that the cat must stay at home, yet that is but a crushed necessity, since we have locks to safeguard necessaries, and pretty traps to catch the petty thieves. While that the armed hand doth fight abroad, the advised head defends itself at home. For government, though high and low and lower, put into parts, doth keep in one consent, congreeing in a full and natural close, like music.
True. Therefore doth heaven divide the state of man into diverse functions, setting endeavor in continual motion, to which is fixed as aim or but obedience. For so work the honeybees, creatures that by a rule in nature teach the active order to a peopled kingdom. They have a king and officers of sorts, where some like magistrates correct at home, others like merchants venture trade abroad, others like soldiers armed in their stings make boot upon the summer's velvet buds, which pillage they with merry march bring home to the tent royal of their emperor, who busied in his majesty surveys the singing masons building roofs of gold, the civil citizens kneading up the honey, the poor mechanic porters crowding in their heavy burdens at his narrow gate, the sad-eyed justice with his surly hum delivering o'er the executor's pale the lazy yawning drone. I this infer that many things have full reference to one consent may work contrariously, as many arrows loosed several ways come to one mark. As many several ways meet in one town, as many fresh streams meet in one salt sea, as many lines close in the dial's center, so may 1,000 actions once afoot end in one purpose and be all well born without defeat. Therefore to France, my liege, divide your happy England into 4, whereof take you 1/4 into France, and you withal shall make all Gallia shake. If we with thrice such powers left at home cannot defend our own doors from the dog, let us be worried and our nation lose the name of hardiness and policy.
Call in the messengers sent from the Dauphin.
Exit some attendants.
Now, are we well resolved? And by God's help and yours, the noble sinews of our power, France being ours, will bend it to our awe, or break it all to pieces. Or there we'll sit, ruling in large and ample empery o'er France, in all her almost kingly dukedoms, or lay these bones in an unworthy urn, tombless, with no remembrance over them. Either our history shall with full mouth speak freely of our acts, or else our grave, like Turkish mute, shall have a tongueless mouth, not worshipped with a waxen epitaph.
Enter ambassadors of France.
Now are we well prepared to know the pleasure of our fair Dauphin? For we hear your greeting is from him, not from the king.
It please your majesty to give us leave freely to render what you have in charge, or shall we sparingly show you far off the Dauphin's meaning and our embassy?
We are no tyrant, but a Christian king, unto whose grace our passion is as subject as our wretches fettered in our prisons. Therefore, with frank and with uncurbed plainness, tell us the Dauphin's mind.
Thus, then, in few, your highness, lately sending into France, did claim some certain kingdoms in the right of your great predecessor, King Edward III. In answer of which claim, the prince, our master, says that you savour too much of your youth, and bids you be advised that there's naught in France that can be with a nimble galliard won. You cannot revel into dukedoms there. He therefore sends you, meter, for your spirit, this ton of treasure, and, in lieu of this, desires you let the dukedoms that you claim hear no more of you. This the Dauphin speaks.
What treasure, uncle?
Tennis balls, my liege.
We are glad the Dauphin is so pleasant with us. His present and your pains we thank you for. When we have marched our rackets to these balls, we will in France, by God's grace, play a set, shall strike his father's crown into the hazard. Tell him he hath made a match with such a wrangler that all the courts of France will be disturbed with chases. And we understand him well. How he comes over with our wilder days, not measuring what use we made of them. We never valued this poor seat of England, and therefore living hence did ourselves to barbarous license, as 'tis ever common that men are merriest when they are far from home. But tell the Dauphin I will keep my state, be like a king, and show my sail of greatness when I do rouse me in the throne of France. For that I have laid by my majesty, and plodded like a man for working days. But I will rise there with so full a glory that I will dazzle all the eyes of France. Hey, strike the Dauphin blind to look at us. And tell the pleasant prince this mock of his hath turned his balls to gunstones, and his soul shall stand sore charged for the wasteful vengeance that shall fly with him. For many a thousand widows shall his mock out of their dear husbands, mock mothers from their sons, mock castles down. And some are yet ungotten and unborn that shall have cause to curse the Dauphin's scorn. But this lies all within the will of God, to whom I do appeal, and in whose name tell you, the Dauphin, I am coming on, to venge me as I may, and to put forth my rightful hand in our well-hallowed cause. So get you hence in peace, and tell the Dauphin his jest will savor but of shallow wit, when thousands weep more than did laugh at it. Convey them with safe conduct. Fare you well.
Exit, ambassadors.
This was a merry message.
We hope to make the sender blush at it. Therefore, my lords, omit no happy hour that may give furtherance to our expedition. For we have now no thought in us but of France, save those to God that run before our business. Therefore, let our proportions for these wars be soon collected, and all things thought upon that may with reasonable swiftness add more feathers to our wings. For God before we'll chide this Dauphin at his father's door. Therefore, let every man now task his thought that this fair action may on foot be brought.
Exit. Enter chorus. Now, all the youth of England are on fire, and silken dalliance in the wardrobe lies. Now thrive the armorers, and honor's thought reigns solely in the breast of every man. They sell the pasture now to buy the horse, following the mirror of all Christian kings with winged heels as English Mercuries, for now sits expectation in the air, and hides a sword from hilts unto the point. With crowns imperial, crowns and coronets promised to Harry and his followers. The French, advised by good intelligence of this most dreadful preparation, shake in their fear with pale policy, seek to divert the English purposes. O England, model to thy inward greatness, like little body with a mighty heart, what mightst thou do? That honor would thee do, were all thy children kind and natural. But see thy fault. France has in thee found out a nest of hollow bosoms, which he fills with treacherous crowns. And 3 corrupted men. One, Richard, Earl of Cambridge, and the second, Henry, Lord Scroop of Masham, and the third, Sir Thomas Grey, Knight of Northumberland, have for the guilt of France, oh, guilt indeed, confirmed conspiracy with the fearful France. And by their hands this grace of kings must die. If hell and treason hold their promises ere he take ship for France, and in Southampton linger your patience on, and will digest the abuse of distance, force a play, the sum is paid. The traitors are agreed. The king is set forth from London, and the scene is now transported, gentles, to Southampton. There is the playhouse now. There must you sit, and thence to France shall we convey you safe, and bring you back, charming the narrow seas, for give you gentle pass, for, if we may, we'll not offend one stomach with our play. But till the king come forth, and not till then, unto Southampton do we shift our scene. Act 2, Scene 1, London, a street. Well met, Corporal Nym.
Good morrow.
Hello, Lieutenant Bardolph.
What, are Ancient Pistol and you friends yet?
For my part, I care not, I say little, but when time shall serve, there shall be smiles, but that shall be as it may. I dare not fight. I will wink and hold out mine iron. It is simple one, but what though? It will toast cheese, and it will endure cold as another man's sword will, and there's an end.
I will bestow breakfast to make you friends, and we'll be all three sworn brothers to France. Let it be so, good Corporal Nym.
Faith, I will so long as I may. That's the certain of it. And when I cannot live any longer, I will do as I may. That is my rest, and that is the rendezvous of it all.
It is certain, Corporal, that he is married to Nell Quickly, and certainly she did you wrong, for you were troth-plight to her.
I cannot tell. Things must be as they may. Men may sleep, and as they may their throats about them at the time. And some say knives have edges. It must be as it may, though patience be as tired mare. Yet she plod. There must be conclusions. Well, I cannot tell.
And her pistol and the hostess. Ah! Here comes Ancient Pistol and his wife. Good Corporal, be patient here. Now, mine host Pistol.
Base tyke, callest thou me host? Now, by this hand, I swear I scorn the term, nor shall my Nell keep lodgers.
No, by my troth, not long, for we cannot lodge and board 12 or 14 gentlewomen that live honestly by the prick of their needles, but it will be thought we keep a bawdy house straight. Oh, well a day, lady, if he be not drawn now, we shall see wilful adultery and murder committed.
Good Lieutenant, good Corporal, all for nothing here.
Pish for thee, Iceland dog, thou prick-eared cur of Iceland.
Good Corporal Nym, show thy valor and put up thy sword.
Will you shog off? I would have you solace.
Solace, egregious dog, O viper vile, the solace in thy most marvelous face, the solace in thy teeth and in thy throat, and in thy hateful lungs, yea, in thy maw purdy, and, which is worse, within thy nasty mouth. I do retort the solace in thy bowels, for I can take, and Pistol's cock is up, and flashing fire. Will you follow?
I am not Barbazon. You cannot conjure me. I have a humor to knock you indifferently well. If you grow foul with me, Pistol, I will scour you with my rapier, as I may, in fair terms. If you would walk off, I would prick your guts a little, in good terms as I may, and that's the humor of it.
Oh, braggart, vile and damned furious wight! The grave doth gape, and doting death is near. Therefore exhale.
Hear me what I say. He that strikes the first stroke, I'll run him up the hilt, as I am a soldier.
An oath of mickle might, and fury shall abate. Give me thy fist, thy forefoot to me give. Thy spirits are most tall.
I will cut thy throat one time or other in fair terms. That is the humor of it.
Couple a gorge? That is the word I thee defy again. O hound of Crete, thinkest thou my spouse to get? No, to the spittle go, and from the powdering tub of infamy fetch forth the laser kite of Cressid's kind. Doll Tearsheet she by name, and her a spouse. I have and I will hold a quondam quickly, for the only she and Poca there's enough. Go to.
Mine host, Pistol, you must come to my master, and you, hostess, he is very sick and would to bed. Good Bardolph, put thy face between his sheets and do the office of a warming pan. Faith, he is very ill.
Away, you rogue!
By my troth, he'll yield the crow a pudding. One of these days the king has killed his heart. Good husband, come home presently.
Come, shall I make you two friends? We must to France together. Why the devil should we keep knives to cut on one another's throats?
Let floods o'erswell and fiends for food howl on.
You'll pay me the 8 shillings I won of you at betting?
Base is the slave that pays.
That now I will have. That's the humor of it.
As manhood shall compound, push home.
By this sword, he that makes the first thrust, I'll kill him. By this sword, I will.
Sword is an oath, and oaths must have their course.
Corporal Nym, and thou wilt be friends, and thou wilt not, why then be enemies with me too? Prithee, put up!
I shall have my 8 shillings I won of you at betting?
A noble shalt thou have, and present pay, and liquor likewise will I give thee, and friendship shall combine, and brotherhood. I'll live by Nym, and Nym shall live by me. Is not this just? For I shall be sutler be unto the camp, and profits will accrue. Give me thy hand.
I shall have my noble.
In cash most justly paid.
Well, then that's the humor of it.
Oh, as ever you came of women, come in quickly to Sir John. Ah, poor heart! He is so shaked of a burning quotidian tertian that it is most lamentable to behold. Sweet men, come to him.
The king hath run bad humours on the night. That's the even of it.
Nym, thou hast spoke the right. His heart is fracted and corroborate.
The king is a good king, but it must be as it may. He passes some humours and careers.
Let us condole the night. For lambkins we will live.
Act 2, Scene 2, Southampton, a council chamber. Enter Exeter, Bedford, and Westmoreland.
For God, his grace is bold to trust these traitors.
They shall be apprehended by and by.
How smooth and even they do bear themselves, as if allegiance in their bosoms sat, crowned with faith and constant loyalty.
The king hath note of all that they intend, by interception which they dream not of.
Nay, but the man that was his bedfellow, whom he hath dulled and cloyed with gracious favours, that he should for a foreign purse so sell his sovereign's life to death and treachery.
Now sits the wind fair, and we will aboard. My Lord Cambridge and my Lord of Masham, and you, my gentle knight, give me your thoughts. Think you not that the powers we bear with us will cut their passage through the force of France, doing the execution and the act for which we have in head assembled them?
No doubt, my liege, if each man do his best.
I doubt not that, since we are well persuaded we carry not a heart with us from hence that grows not in a fair consent with ours, nor leave not one behind that doth not wish success and conquest to attend on us.
Never was a monarch better feared and loved than is your majesty. There's not, I think, a subject that sits in heart grief and uneasiness under the sweet shade of your government.
True, those that were your father's enemies have steeped their galls in honey and do serve you with hearts create of duty and of zeal.
We therefore have great cause of thankfulness, and shall forget the office of our hand, sooner than quittance of desert and merit, according to the weight and worthiness.
So service shall with steeled sinews toll, and shall forget the office of our hand, sooner than quittance of desert and merit, according to... So service shall be steeled sinews told, and labor shall refresh itself in hope to do your grace incessant service.
We judge no less. Uncle of Exeter, enlarge the man committed yesterday that railed against our person. We consider it was excess of wine that set him on, and on his more advice we pardon him.
That's mercy, but too much security. Let him be punished, sovereign, lest example breed by his sufferance more of such kind.
Oh, let us be merciful.
So may your highness, and yet punish too.
Sir, you show great mercy if you give him life, after the taste of much correction.
Alas, your too much love and care of me are heavy orisons against the poor wretch. If little faults proceeding on distemper shall not be winked at, how shall we stretch our eye when capital crimes, chewed, swallowed, and digested appear before us? We'll yet enlarge that man, though Cambridge group and Grey in their dear care and tender preservation of our person would have him punished. And now to our French causes. Who are the late commissioners?
I one, my lord. Your highness bade me ask for it today.
So did you me, my liege.
And I, my royal sovereign.
Then, Richard, Earl of Cambridge, there is yours. There yours, Lord Scroop of Masham, and Sir Knight, Grey of Northumberland, this same is yours. Read them, and know, I know your worthiness. My Lord of Westmoreland and Uncle Exeter, we will aboard tonight. Well, how now, gentlemen? What see you in those papers that you lose so much complexion? Look ye, how they change. Their cheeks are paper. Why, what read you there that hath so cowarded and chased your blood out of appearance?
I do confess my fault, and do submit me to your highness's mercy.
To which we all appeal.
The mercy that was quick in us but late, by your own counsel is suppressed and killed. You must not dare, for shame, to talk of mercy. For your own reasons turn into your bosoms, and dogs upon their masters, worrying you. See you, my princes and my noble peers, these English monsters. My lord of Cambridge here, you know how apt our love was to accord to furnish him with all appurtenance belonging to his honor. And this man hath for a few light crowns lightly conspired and sworn upon the practices of France to kill us here in Hampton, to the which this night, no less for bounty bound to us than Cambridge is, hath likewise sworn. But, oh, what shall I say to thee, Lord Scroop? Thou cruel, ingrateful, savage, and inhumane creature, thou that didst bear the key of all my counsels, that knewst the very bottom of my soul, that almost might have coined me into gold, wouldst thou have practiced on me for thy use, may it be possible, that foreign hire could out of thee extract one spark of evil that might annoy my finger. 'tis so strange that though the truth of it stands off as gross as black and white, my eye will scarcely see it. Treason and murder ever kept together as two yoked devils sworn to either's purpose, working so grossly in a natural cause that admiration did not whoop at them. But thou, 'gainst all proportion, did bring in wonder to wait on treason and on murder. Whatsoever cunning fiend it was that wrought upon thee so preposterously hath got the voice in hell for excellence. All other devils that suggest by treasons do botch and bungle up damnations with patches, colors, and with forms being fetched from glistening semblance of piety. But he that tempered thee bade thee stand up, gave thee no instance why thou shouldst do treason, unless to dub thee with the name of traitor. If that same demon that hath gulled thee thus should with his lion gait walk the whole world, he might return to vasty Tartar back, and tell the legions I can never win a soul so easy as that Englishman's. No! How thou hast with jealously infected the sweetness of affiance. Show men dutiful. Why didst thou? Seem they grave and learned? Why so didst thou? Come they of noble family? Why so didst thou? Seem they religious? Why so didst thou? Or are they spare in diet, free from gross passion or of mirth or anger, constant in spirit, not swerving with the blood, garnished and decked in modest compliment, not working with the eye without the ear, but in perjured judgment, trusting neither? Such and so finely bolted didst thou seem, and thus thy fall left kind of blot to mark the full-fraught man and best endued with some suspicion. I will weep for thee, for this revolt of mine, methinks is like another fault of mine, fault of man. Their faults are open. Arrest them to the answer of the law, and God acquit them of their practices.
I arrest thee of high treason by the name of Richard, Earl of Cambridge. I arrest thee of high treason by the name of Henry, Lord Scroop of Masham. I arrest thee of high treason by the name of Thomas Grey, Knight of Northumberland.
Our purposes God justly hath discovered, and I repent my fault more than my death, which I beseech your highness to forgive, although my body paid the price for it.
For me, the gold of France did not seduce, although I did admit it as a motive, the sooner to effect what I intended. But God be thanked for prevention, which I in sufferance heartily will rejoice, beseeching God and you to pardon me.
Never did faithful subject more rejoice at the discovery of most dangerous treason than I do at this hour, joy o'er myself, prevented from a damned enterprise, my fault, but not my body, pardon, sovereign.
God quit you in his mercy. Hear your sentence. You have conspired against our royal person, joined with an enemy proclaimed, and from his coffers received the golden earnest of our death, wherein you would have sold your king to slaughter, his princes and his peers to servitude, his subjects to oppression and contempt, and his whole kingdom into desolation. Touching our persons, seek we no revenge, but we our kingdom's safety must so tender, whose ruin you have sought, that to her laws we do deliver you. Get you therefore hence, poor miserable wretches, to your death, the taste whereof God of his mercy give you patience to endure, and true repentance of all your dear offenses. Bear them hence. Now, lords, for France, the enterprise whereof shall be to you as us like glorious. We doubt not of a fair and lucky war, since God so graciously hath brought to light this dangerous treason lurking in our way to hinder our beginnings. We doubt not now that every rub is smoothed on our way. Then forth, dear countrymen, let us deliver our puissance into the hand of God, putting it straight into expedition, cheerly to see the signs of war advance. No king of England, if not of France.
Act 2, Scene 3, London, before a tavern.
Prithee, sweet husband, let me bring thee to Staines.
No, for my manly heart doth yearn. Far off be blithe, Nym, rouse thy vaunting veins. Boy, bristle thy courage up, for Falstaff is dead, and we must yearn therefore.
Would I were with him, wheresoever he is, either in heaven or hell.
Nay, sure, he's not in hell. He's in Arthur's bosom. If ever man went to Arthur's bosom, he made a finer end, and went away in it had been any Christum child. They parted even just between 12 and 1, even at the turning of the tide. For after I saw him fumble with the sheets and play with flowers and smile upon his fingers' ends, I knew there was but one way, for his nose was as sharp as a pen, and he babbled of green fields. How now, Sir John, quoth I, what man? Be a good cheer. So he cried out, God, 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 3 or 4 times. Now I, to comfort him, bid him not to trouble himself, he should not think of God. I hope there was no need to trouble himself with such thoughts yet. So he bade me lay more clothes on his feet. I put my hand into the bed and felt them, and they were as cold as any stone. Then I felt to his knees, and they were as cold as any stone. And so upward and upward, and all was as cold as any stone.
They say he cried out of sack.
Aye, that he did.
And of women?
Nay, that he did not.
Yes, that he did, and said they were devils incarnate.
I could never abide carnation. 'Twas a color he never liked.
I said once the devil would have him about women.
He did, in some sort, indeed, handle women, but then he was rheumatic and talked of the horror of Babylon.
Do you not remember? I saw a flea stick upon Bardolph's nose, and they said it was a black soul burning in hellfire.
Well, the fuel is gone that maintained that fire. That's all the riches I got in his service.
Shall we shog? The king will be gone from Southampton.
Come, let's away. My love, give me thy lips. Look to my tattles and my movables. Let senses rule. The word is pitch and pay. Trust none, for oaths are straws. Men's faiths are wafer cakes, and hold fast is the only dog, my duck. Therefore, Capito be thy counselor. Go, clear thy crystals, yoke fellows in arms, let us to France. Like horse leeches, my boys, to suck, to the very blood to suck.
And that's but unwholesome food, they say.
Put her mouth soft and march.
Farewell, hostess.
I cannot kiss. That is the humor of it, but adieu.
Let High Swiffery appear. Keep close, I thee command.
Farewell. Adieu.
Exit all.